he said, hey, why don't we get out of town and go on a motorcycle ride?
So I told him that I was going to take a trip down, and why, I don't know. I thought of doing this on my own.
I had a friend of mine's motorcycle, and he had given me the thumbs up on it. That's my buddy Mark Gossage.
I had no intention of taking a guitar. I had no intention of writing songs. I was just going to go.
So it was kind of just this great opportunity that I couldn't say no to, and I've never been to the Keys.
He said, yeah, I'll go. So that made me happy because I had a partner to travel with, which is always safer. And so off we went to what we called motorcycle riding or songwriting down to the Florida Keys and back.
So man, yeah, we jumped on the bikes and rolled, but it's all Brian Kennedy's fault, dang it.
We had decided to leave on January 1st, and I think on the 31st or the 30th, Forrest and I stopped by on these motorcycles by Central Square Records in Seaside, Florida, and went up there and saw a couple of buddies of ours that owned the place and run the place, and we started. Forrest was like, "Have you seen these guitars?" And there was these Recording King guitars,
and we hadn't even really thought about it being a songwriting type thing, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we put a guitar in this trip? Because I said, us both being, musicians and songwriters, I said, we're going to kick ourselves if we get somewhere and have a good idea, or if we're just wanting to sit around and are bored and want to pick guitars. All right, so, one of the interesting things and challenges was, how do we get two guitars, or a guitar on the back of each motorcycle?
Where are we going to put them? Well, Forrest is the guy you want on every trip. So Bungee Cord Forrest, that'd be a good nickname for him. You can see in the pictures that we kind of look like the Beverly Hillbillies with guitars on motorcycles going to the Florida Keys.
Brian did a great job of kind of mapping out through how we were going to go down and how we were going to come back up, and it was just a really cool layout. And so once we kind of had made the decision that, hey, we're all in on this, he's used to traveling around and kind of doing that kind of thing anyway, so I was like, all right, the ball's in your court on that. And so it really turned out to be great because we would ride
5 or 6 hours of riding a day, 250 to 300 miles, somewhere in that area. And then we would try to find a motel, with the neon lights, so we could park the bikes outside the room.
But Brian did a really good job of putting us up in these really cool, true Florida motels, like the little motels that's got the neon sign and the pink flamingo out front or whatever. It was great. And that seemed to be a nice amount of time to be on the bike, get in somewhere, get a meal, and check into a little motel, and then break out the guitars and go, all right, what did we see today, or what did we experience that's worth writing about?
I think when you're writing songs, the more corporate a hotel room might feel, kind of the less creative, I think, vibe you get out of it. So staying in those little motor court motels is very inspiring for whatever it is you're going to try to write.
The idea when we set out was, let's kind of be, obviously be tuned into what we're doing, but be thinking, and paying attention to what's happening. And we knew heading out that the idea was kind of, let's collect this information throughout the day and keep it in mind, store it in the back of your head, because we're going to try to come up with a song. And
the beautiful thing about modern, technology is Bluetooth. Forrest and I both, wearing helmets, which is the right thing to do, have Bluetooth. So we have the ability to talk to each other traveling down the road. Now this works in our favor for a lot of ways. First and foremost, being safety.
On the road, which makes it so cool, to where you really go, oh man, look at that over there, or look at look at that crazy name of that place, or the
street signs, billboards, sunsets, nature. And Forrest is a really good songwriter, so you're able to communicate with somebody where you might see a word that is normal, but you ride down the road twisting it around 50 different ways until you come up with something you're like, okay, that's what we'll do with that word.
So we would be riding along and literally just see a cool sign or see something that just really stood out that we'd never seen before, and either one of us is going, dude, did you see that? Or and it made it so fun.
I believe we were at a traffic light, and I can't remember if it was Forrest or me, but I think one of us pointed out a street sign, and the street sign was, there's nothing unusual about it. The street was Weber, and it was spelled Webber. And so we were talking on the Bluetooth, and we were talking about how all of a sudden that street sign to us looked like "we beer."
Kind of how Brian and I think, we're taking something really unrelated and turning it into a fun song. And so we end up writing that, and it's actually turned out to be a really fun song, and just an example that you never know where something's going to come from. So just fun, man.
Forrest brings melodies that are incredible, that I'm not so good at. And he brings that willingness to dig into a song that I find pretty rare.
Right? You kind of want to be writing songs, if you can, with people that you enjoy talking about life with. That's where the best songs come from, and he and I do that naturally. So
he's willing to go deeper than the first line or the second line or the first thought or the third thought. He's willing to explore. So that's really important to me.
Yeah, we really had no idea exactly how many we were going to come up with or be able to write, but I believe it.
There's silly stuff, there's fun stuff, there's romantic stuff, there's things that are deep thinking about somebody that just finds themselves in a place where they need to get lost to get found. One of the songs on the album is about that.
And they definitely were based off of whatever we were kind of seeing or experiencing, or our imaginations went to, off of that day.
Too, but all the ideas came from that trip, and man, I love this project. I love these songs.
Going down there, I really didn't know what to expect. I've really never been south of, I'd say, St. Augustine. I've gone over to the Atlantic coast, but I've never gone south of all that. And, it's always interesting because you build up an idea of what something is in your mind when you've never been there.
I always say that when you ride a motorcycle, your destination is something you really don't look forward to as much as going. When you're in a car, you kind of look forward to being there. On a motorcycle, you look forward to going there.
When you get down to the fruit farms and plantations, with just the smells and the scenery that come with that on a bike, it's so different than traveling in a car, And so you really are experiencing everything, sight, hearing, smell, all your senses are kind of lit up when you're on a bike going through an area like that. So really cool.
Forrest and I are both the same. We love meeting people, and we discovered on this trip that if you ride a motorcycle and you stop somewhere, people, they want to talk to you. They want to know where you're going and how long you've been and where you're from. Because I think inside everybody has this, I want to do what they're doing inside them, and we're actually doing it. So
in my mind, it just seemed almost like another country because it's so different from what you hear. And some of it was the same, but it's hard to describe. It's its own little world down there. It's really its own thing.
We met some guys down in Naples that were they traveled across the country building pickleball courts. What's a pickleball? I'm asking. have a flat, you want Forrest around. If you have a carburetor that needs replacing, you want Forrest around. If you have you want to rebuild your engine, you want to have Forrest around.
Now Bryan, he's so easy to hang with. He and I have always been buddies and been able just to kind of hang out together and talk about life and just everything from songwriting to just growing up in the country and just life, you know. And so it's one of the reasons why I said yes to this trip, was that, you know, a journey like this with the wrong people can be a long journey.
He's just an easy person to be around anywhere. And that actually, and I'm serious, it translates over into his songwriting. It translates over into his guitar playing, that he does what needs to be done without overdoing it.
We don't need a whole lot of entertainment to have a good time, because it's about the journey. And so that's the kind of people I like to hang with. It's like, let's just see what happens and see how it all unfolds. And it's easy that way. So when we got back home and had time to kind of, you know, tie up the ends on a lot of these songs, we really ended up just deciding to do this whole project ourselves. I've got a studio here at the house that we have been recording everything in, and you know, it made it where we really get to be hands-on from very beginning to end of this project, which is you know, sometimes rare to get to do, and but it's made it fun. We get to be creators and the engineer and the producer and the whole 9 yards.
It is a blessing for Forrest Williams to be the musician that he is, knows when not to play and when to play, and what a blessing that is. The great melody writer that he is, the great lyric writer that he is, but he's also engineered this whole record. Songs. Forrest is busy. At that point in time, before the shutdown happened, I was out on tour, so I was working a lot, and so studio wasn't even anything on our mind. And then the COVID shutdown happened, and Forrest having the studio at his house, I think Forrest started working on I want to say the Lover's Dance song first. And he had me over and he goes, "What do you think about this?" And he had started it, and I was like, "Man, that sounds really good." Well, that inspired me, so I'm like, "Okay, now we gotta really dig in and finish this." And here it is, a year later, we're finished, and love it.
Oddly enough, true story, but just fun, man. That's one of those songs that, your imagination just kind of gets going on, and basically inspired by a true story, but imagination takes over and makes this a fun song.
I mean, when you think of Faster Than the Devil from a church on Sunday, you better move.
About kind of finding your way through good and bad times in life, and how we kind of all have to go through a little of each to come out better on the other end.
800 miles of sunshine makes me want to start my bike and go. It is like the green flag at a NASCAR race. It's just like get on and go, and I love that song. If you're a bike rider, turn it up.
It's a true Florida experience. This is the kind of song you can put on. It makes you want to get on a motorcycle and just take off and tear down the road. It's just feel good. It's a Florida song. I Quit's one of those songs that we really were trying to see how many times we could say the word I quit in a song and it still be a song, and I think we exceeded our expectations.
But the whole concept of the song is hilarious. It's about a guy that quits and then realizes that quitting is for quitters. Think about that.
It makes you want to go grab your girl and have a nice date night or something, whatever. Yeah, whatever, man.
It inspires me to think that people fall in love every day.
Man, it makes you want to head to the beach. It's seriously, that's what it's about. It's going, man, I can't wait to get there.
Kind of off the top rope. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to the beach, and nobody can stop me.
And so we truly ended up with like great weather, and it truly was 800 miles down there of sunshine, and then 800 miles back. So
just going and riding and just taking it a day at a time. It's just such a blessing, and as I said, we still do it. So I don't know if we'll do Key West ride again. We'll go somewhere. Hopefully.